Hello there. This is James, and you're watching OneRoyal. And it's live. In today's program, I want to discuss how President Trump is finding out that keeping the peace in the Middle East is not that easy. Plus, I want to discuss the knock-on effect a very fragile ceasefire is having to the market and how the Fed chair is heading off to Washington to face Congress. But before I get into all of that, don't forget these little videos are for educational purposes only, and in no way whatsoever should it ever be taken as financial advice. So I always suggest you do your research, do your due diligence, and of course, the risks at hand before entering any trade. With that out the way, let's get started. So let's ask the question, do we have a ceasefire or is there no ceasefire between Israel and Iran? Because shortly after Trump, with much jubilation, declared a ceasefire or an end to the 12-day war, Israel said it detected a missile launched from Iran. Iran obviously denied it, but Israel then went on and said, we will respond forcefully to Iran's violation, I'm struggling with words at the moment, violation of ceasefire with powerful strikes against regime targets in the heart of Tehran. Now, this basically made Donald Trump not very happy at all. This is what he had to say. And this to me, to be honest, took me back a little bit. It did take me back a little bit. But this is what he said. He said this: Israel, do not drop those bombs. If you do it, it will be a major violation, bringing a major violation. Bring your pilots home now. Now, this is quite strong words from President Trump to Israel. Very strong words. And it doesn't just sort of stop there either, because obviously he's finding out reality, how difficult it is, because he literally loses his temper. He literally lost his temper in front of TV reporters as he was on his way to go to the latest NATO conference. He literally lost his temper in front of TV cameras to reporters, because this is what he said to reporters. I mean, that post here, this comment here was obviously done on this Truth Social, but this is what he said to reporters on his way to a NATO conference. I don't like the fact that Israel went out this morning at all. I'm not happy with Israel. I'm not happy with Iran either. I didn't like the fact that Israel unloaded right after we made the deal. They didn't have to unload. And this is really clearly showing signs that the reality of keeping peace in the Middle East is not easy. And I think he's grasping this, because I've never heard or seen a politician say what I'm going to say in a moment on television cameras, in front of reporters. I mean, we're all human. We all lose our temper. We all forget where we are, and I can understand that. But this goes to show how much this whole situation has really got to him, because this is what he then said. We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. Now you can work out what that word is. But this is on live TV. Well, not necessarily live, but this is on TV to reporters. So obviously he's finding out, how difficult it is. But then since then, again, this is the question: do we have a ceasefire or don't we have a ceasefire? Because since then, Israel has said it will refrain from any further attacks following a phone call with President Trump. Okay, apparently they just hit a radar, and then they're not going to do any more. They're going to go back to being the ceasefire as it was originally planned. So are we on? Are we not on? It's very, very fragile. But like I said, Trump indeed is finding out the hard way how hard it is, of keeping peace in the Middle East. But anyway, what's the knock-on effect of this ceasefire? The knock-on effect. Well, the knock-on effect, of course, is there's much rejoicing in the market because we've got the markets are up. Oil has slumped because obviously the supply concerns have diminished and safe havens are losing their appeal. But let's kind of have a quick look at the market at the moment where it is, because obviously the market's been open now for the last 41 minutes. So start off with the S&P 500, okay? Because of this ceasefire and the fact that, like I say, it looked like it was at jeopardy, but now it looks like it's going to stay, hopefully. We've obviously up with the S&P 500, currently trading 0.67% higher. In fact, it opened up with a nice big gap, as it opened. So again, very much rejoicement in the market. If we look at the daily as well, despite everything going on, we're coming up close, not a million miles away from hitting the all-time high again. So despite all the drama with tariffs, and obviously now with this Israel-Iran conflict, S&P's back with the bull run. But there's a few little concerns I wanna highlight, which does worry me a little bit before we celebrate. But we're just going to be on bull runs from now on. Now, if we go back to look at the Nasdaq is the same. Okay, up as well, 0.98%. Again, getting close to those levels at all-time high again. We can tell the mood is completely switched, very optimistic, no concerns at the moment because the VIX is down by a whopping 8.42%. Don't forget, when the market is nervous, they go to the VIX or they look at the VIX because obviously that measures, the market sentiment in many ways. It is called the fear index, but that's down. So that, and we can look as well with the safe haven. Let's look at oil first. Oil, $65 a barrel. Now, if you look at the height of the stress on Sunday, when America struck Iran, it spiked and hit $77 a barrel. Since we've got this ceasefire, and since for now, touch wood, this ceasefire is holding, it's dropped dramatically down to $65.24. A massive turnaround. And you can see the sentiment is spreading as well across safe havens. Gold is down $3,306. Again, if you look at the height of what happened on, again, like I say, on Sunday, after America bombed the United States, it spiked up as high as just under $3,400. It's since dropped $3,000 to $3,306. If you look at a bigger picture on that, it's not as dramatic though, is it? Drop as oil is. We're still trading above that trend line. So indicating me that though, we're looking at a little bit soft buying because the safe haven status is no longer there. The bull run is not quite just over yet. I would call it not yet. But anyway, like I say, down slightly, $3,307. And we can see the safe haven again is collapsing across the board. Euro's back up. Why? Weaker dollar, because we don't need the safe haven. Currently trading at 1.1606. Same with the cable, British pound, US dollar, back up 136.16. So yes, weaker dollar as well. And of course, we can also have a quick look at the dollar index as well. Back down to 97. So people are getting rid of the dollar currently again because of the safe haven. Let's have a quick look now. We won't look at the stocks yet. We'll look at the stocks in a moment because I want to talk about Tesla on a separate subject. Anyway, what else is happening? I tell you what else is happening today. Powell heads to Congress. Now, this is during the time when, let's face it, Powell is under a lot of pressure to cut interest rates. Okay, a lot of pressure to cut interest rates. But he seems to be keeping his head because he's planning to say, basically repeat what he said last week in the Fed press conference. He said, we're basically going to underline this, basically. We're well positioned to wait on any interest rate adjustments until we have more clarity on how President Trump's tariffs will affect inflation and the direction of the US economy. Now, of course, this means, Trump will carry on attacking him, because Trump has been relentless at attacking Jerome Powell. He's adamant to cut rates. He sees Powell not cutting rates as a massive danger to his plans for tariffs and his tax bill. This is what he said, and he doesn't mix words. At least he doesn't swear this time. At least he doesn't swear. He said this: I don't know why the board doesn't override this total, complete moron. It's a lot of pressure to get from the president. But here's the other thing. This is what I'm thinking. July's interest rate decision, which initially the market wasn't expecting any cuts in July. They're really thinking the next possible rate cut from the Fed could come in September. But there is a beginning to creep up that the market's beginning to think maybe we might see it in July. In fact, about 27% on the recent survey believe that they could cut rates in July, which is a lot higher than previous. And there is a reason for it. It's not just Trump now pressuring, putting pressure on Powell. Not just Trump anymore. No, it's not just Trump, because Fed governors, Michelle Bowman and Chris Waller, have also said they now see cutting rates as soon as the next policy meeting in July. Now, of course, two people can't just do it. It's got to be agreed. But they are pushing for it. And funny enough, both these two individuals are Republicans. So it's interesting. Don't forget, the Fed supposed to be impartial from politics. I'm not saying that they're not being impartial. I'm just highlighting the fact that surprisingly both are Republicans, which is quite interesting. Anyway, I want to have a quick look, go back to the market, because I want to talk about something else, which we talked about briefly yesterday. And I want to talk about, the Mag 7, okay? Because like I mentioned yesterday, Tesla soft launched its robo-taxi yesterday, okay? And the general feeling was it was quite successful. People are quite pleased with it. And Tesla, is sort of maintaining that sort of level around where it really nearly closed, okay, about $344. So there is general optimism. And don't forget, Tesla has had a terrible 2025. However, I'm going to be closely watching this, and I will probably do a bit more of a detailed broadcast on this, because I can't help but think that potentially Tesla may still be very much, despite this robo-taxi, despite its recent success, possibly a chance that maybe in the future this could come under pressure, because I'm thinking of the real value of this. But anyway, just something to keep an eye on, something I'm going to be watching, and perhaps we'll go in a bit more detail on that. If you look at the other Mag 7 as well, up today, Meta up 1.10%. Microsoft, again, this is another one I'm really interested in. The opposite reasons of what I think about Tesla. I'm really interested in Microsoft. Again, I might do more of a detailed video on why I'm interested in it. Currently trading 0.40% up. Amazon up 2.2%. Alphabet also up 1.31%. In fact, Alphabet is pledged to invest, I think, about 50 billion into the UK for development. So that'd be quite interesting. Nvidia up 1.81%, which is quite, like I said, Mag 7 performing quite well today. And Apple slightly down 0.23%. This is another company I'm interested in keeping an eye on as well. Again, similar reasons to Tesla as well. Again, we might do something a little bit more detailed than that. Anyway, else this week, what else is coming up, James? Well, we still have a big week ahead of us with other data coming out. We've got obviously US manufacturing PMI. Powell testifies again tomorrow. US GDP, UK GDP, and US PCE. And don't forget, that's an inflation indicator as well. What will that tell us about potentially seeing effects of tariffs. Don't forget, you can talk to me anytime you wish, or more importantly, what I really like, let me know your opinions. Let me know what you think. Do you think this ceasefire is going to hold? Where do you see gold? Where do you see oil? What do you think of Tesla? You see, or what do you think? Do you think the Fed should cut rates, for example? So feel free, ask me. I like to hear what you think and your thoughts, and by all means, ask me questions as well. As well as that, if you're not part of the OneRoyal family and you're interested and you want to know a bit more about us, by all means, click on the link in the description below to find out a bit more of us and more about us, and maybe you'd like to join the family. As well as that, if you're watching me on YouTube and you like this sort of thing, subscribe if you like. Hit the notification button so you know next time I'm going live. And if you like this sort of content, you put up with me, my over-the-top enthusiasm, by all means, give me one of these. It's nice to know that you like what I do. As well as I want to mention, I do notice a lot of people go back and watch the recordings, miss the lives, watch the recordings, which is great. I like any type of support. It's all appreciated. If you are watching this recorded, you're not watching it live, and you have a question and you want to ask me something, or you have an opinion, by all means, put it in the comment section below. I will see it and I will reply to it next time I go live on air, which is pretty much every single day when there is something to talk about and something impacting. Okay. Okie dokie. If there is no questions, not a problem. Leaves me to say, remember, these little videos are for educational purposes only and in no way should be taken as financial advice. I always suggest you do your research, do your due diligence, and of course, know the risks at hand before entering any trade. Till next time, every single one of you, trade safe.